In this video, I just want to briefly introduce you to the Uniform Bar Exam and kind of walk you through the process so we all know what to expect on exam day. So of course, the Uniform Bar Exam is a 2-day licensing exam that consists of 3 main components, right? We're gonna have the Multistate Performance Test, the Multistate Essay Exam, and the Multistate Bar Exam. Respectively, the Multistate Performance Test is going to be worth 20% of your overall score, the Multistate Essay Exam is going to be worth 30% of your overall score, and of course, the Multistate Bar Exam is going to be worth 50% of your overall score. So how this is going to work though is on day 1 in the morning, you're going to get a good night's sleep, right? You're going to show up with a lot of confidence. You're going to be excited to be there. You're going to show up on day 1 of the exam in the morning, and we're going to start with the Multistate Performance Test, which again is worth 20% of your overall score. The Multistate Performance Test consists of 2 90-minute practical lawyering tasks, right? So you're going to have 3 hours in the morning to complete 2 practical lawyering tasks. Now, the good news about the Multistate Performance Test and these practical lawyering tasks is that it requires no substantive knowledge of the law to pass the Multistate Performance Test. In fact, many of you who are watching this video right now with zero preparation, right? We haven't begun any preparation for the bar exam, might be ready to pass the Multistate Performance Test. If you're a very strong legal writer, remember back in your 1L year when you took your legal research and writing class, if you did particularly well in that course, you might be ready to pass the Multistate Performance Test today with no preparation, right? Because the bar examiners are going to give you all the information you need to pass the Multistate Performance Test, right? You're going to get a library of information. You're going to use that information. Usually it's going to create some sort of narrative, and it's going to give you different laws, and you're going to combine those things together to complete some sort of practical lawyering task that the bar examiners think that a beginner associate lawyer should be able to complete, right? Oftentimes this is something like an objective memo, which again, if you went to an ABA accredited law school, probably your first year of law school, you spent an entire semester learning how to write an objective memo in your legal research and writing class. Essentially, that's what the Multistate Performance Test is. So if you did really well in that class, you liked that, or you're just a really strong legal writer, you like legal research and legal writing, the performance test may be a breeze for you, and you might not need to spend very much time in your preparation to do well on the performance test. Now, on the other hand, if you don't like legal research and legal writing, no problem. We're going to give you everything you need here. We're going to do a lot of performance tests. You're going to see how the process works. But again, it is the smallest overall component to your score, right? Only being 20% of the test. So usually the performance test doesn't necessarily make or break you, right? Most students are going to do well enough on the performance test where it's not really going to make or break the score, although it can, right? You can bomb the performance test and it can result in a really low score, but we're not going to worry about that, right? The performance test we'll cover in a lot of detail later. Okay, so after the morning ends, right, on day 1, the 3 hours is up, you've completed your 2 90-minute practical lawyering tasks, you're going to go to lunch. You're going to eat a great lunch. You're not going to talk about the exam. You're not going to listen to what everybody else is saying. You're going to tune out all the panic during your lunch break. You're just going to sit there, eat your food, hydrate up, and come back in the afternoon ready to go for the Multistate Essay Exam, which is going to again be worth 30% of your overall score. The Multistate Essay Exam consists of 6 30-minute essays, right? Now, similar to law school final exams, right, which are typically essay format, the difference being that we're dealing with 30-minute essay questions here, right? Typically in law school, right, when you got to your final exams, usually you had 3 to 4 hours to maybe write 1 or 2 essays. They were typically really long fact patterns, and you would go into all kinds of different issues. These on the bar exam, right, at least with the Multistate Essay Exam, are almost compared to law school going to to look more like short answer format, right? We're talking about 6 30-minute essays. These are going to be really quick, right? We want to move at a very fast pace through these. Obviously, identifying the relevant issues, stating the law, applying that law to the fact pattern, coming to logical conclusions as quickly and efficiently as we can, right? And again, this is going to be essay format. You're going to be given a fact pattern and one of 12 different areas of law, and it's going to be your job to apply the law to those fact patterns and come to logical conclusions to answer the questions that they give you, right? So what subjects could be tested on the multi-state essay exam, right? Because we don't know going in exactly what your 6 essay topics are going to be. The bar examiners do not tell us what the essay topics are going to be. Unless you were in California on the last jurisdiction and they did accidentally tell us what was going to be tested. But most of the time, right, the bar examiners don't tell us what essay questions are going to be tested on the bar exam. And it could be any 6 of the following 12 subjects, right? We have civil procedure, the federal rules of civil procedure, constitutional law, contracts, including Article 2 of the Uniform Commercial Code, which deals with sales. We have criminal law and procedure as one subject, evidence, the federal rules of evidence, real property, and torts. Fortunately, if you went to an ABA accredited law school, you covered all of these subjects in a lot of detail, so hopefully most of you have some sort of base knowledge in these subjects. If you feel like you don't worry, we're going to get there. Of course, in addition to these core subjects, also on the MEE, subjects that you could see would be business associations, which of course is going to include agency, partnership, corporations, and LLCs. A lot there to think about. We have conflict of laws. Conflict of laws is unique in that it's never tested by itself. You're always going to see conflict of laws if it is tested in conjunction with other subjects. We have family law. We have trusts and estates. Of course, this is going to include decedents' estates, wills, trusts, and estates, and also future interest. And of course, we're going to have secured transactions under Article 9 of the Uniform Commercial Code. So probably most of you, again, in law school took a course on business associations. So most of us probably have some knowledge there on agency and partnership, corporations and LLCs, but many of you may not have taken these subjects. Many of you may have in terms of conflict of laws, family law, trusts and estates, and secured transactions. Again, don't worry about it. Going to cover all of these subjects in a lot of detail. Now, the good news about these 5 subjects right here, right, is that they're not tested on the MBE. The only place that you would ever see these subjects, business associations, conflict of laws, family law, trusts and estates, and secure transactions, is on the essay portion of the bar exam, on the multi-state essay exam. So we know then by that fact that these subjects to your overall score will be worth less points, right? Because the MEE is only worth 30% of your overall score, where the MBE, which we're going to talk about in a second, is worth 50%, right? And it has overlapping subjects. So the majority of your points on the bar exam are going to come from these 7 subjects right here, right? Not the 5 MEE only subjects. So we're going to spend the majority of our time really focused on these 7 subjects because that's where the majority of your points are going to come from. Now we still want to be knowledgeable here, but again, we can focus on these only in the context of the essay portion, right? Because we're not going to see multiple choice questions on business associations, conflict of laws, family law, trusts and estates, or secure transactions. The only place that these are going to be presented is in essay format. So we can always think about these subjects in the context of essays, which is going to be important when we talk about the different ways that we prepare for each exam. We'll see how it's kind of beneficial that we know, okay, these subjects are only going to be on the essay portion, so I can come at these subjects with a complete MEE approach, right? Where we'll see with these MBE subjects, it'll require different approaches for different exams, okay? But we'll get into all of that in way more detail later. Finally though, okay, so you'll finish your 6 30-minute essays on day 1 in the afternoon. 3 hours, right, to write 6 30-minute essays, that's going to expire. When the bar examiners, the proctors tell you to put your pencils down and stop typing, you are going to listen to the proctors and you're going to immediately stop typing or writing. You're going to pack up and leave. You're going to go home. You're not going to talk about the exam to anyone. You're not going to worry about what everyone else is saying. You're going to tune it all out. You're going to show up day 2 in the morning ready to go for the multi-state bar exam. Okay, so the multi-state bar exam is consists of 2 3-hour 100 question multiple choice sets, right? So in other words, in the morning of day 2, you're going to have 3 hours to do 100 multiple choice questions. In day 2 in the afternoon, after your lunch break, it's going to be the same thing. Another 100 questions in 3 hours, multiple choice questions, okay? So that's a total of 200 questions. Notably, only 175 of those questions are scored. 25 are left unscored. They don't affect your overall score. The bar examiners are including those to test future questions that might come up on future bar exams, right? So of the 175 scored questions, you're going to see those distributed evenly over 7 subjects, giving you 25 scored questions in each of the following subjects. Again, it's going to be the federal rules of civil procedure, constitutional law, contracts, including Article 2 of the UCC, criminal law and procedure, federal rules of evidence, real property, and torts, right? You're going to have 25 questions, scored questions from each of these subjects, right? So we're going to talk about in a lot of detail how to approach the MBE, how to approach multiple choice questions versus essay questions. But again, notably, these 7 subjects, you're going to see 25 questions of each of these on the MBE. So we have to be ready for all 7 of these because we know we're seeing them on the MBE. And notably, we could see any of these subjects on the essay portion, right? So we really want to make sure that we have all these subjects down, again, which is why we're going to spend a lot of time really focused on these 7 MBE subjects, because usually somewhere between 60 to 70% of your overall score is going to come from your knowledge of these subjects. So we're really going to focus on those. But again, guys, that will wrap up all your days of testing, right? When you're done, you go to lunch in between after your first set of 100 questions. You'll have 3 hours to do that. You'll go to lunch. You'll come back in the afternoon. You'll do another 100 question set in 3 hours, and then you will be done, right? You'll finish that on the second day, and you'll be done, right? So to wrap it up, again, remember, each block is 3 hours. So you have 12 hours of testing over 2 days to accumulate as many points as possible, right? And remember, we always want to think about the bar exam in terms of accumulating points. So at each one of these junctures of the exam, each of these 3-hour testing slots, we're constantly thinking about how to accumulate points, right? And that's what our focus here in Studicata Bar Review is going to be. In our next video, we're really going to break that down in a lot more detail for each exam, right? How do we accumulate the maximum amount of points in the allotted time in each exam? The performance test, the multi-state essay exam, and the multi-state bar exam. When we're thinking about point accumulation in the allotted time, what are the most efficient ways to do that? So we're going to focus on in our next video. But until then, guys, I wish you all the absolute best, and I'll see you at our next video.